Posting of the colors.
Good morning. We want to thank you for joining us here today as we celebrate the mission to remember the fallen, honor those that serve and their families, and teach the next generation the value of freedom. Please join me in saying our Pledge of Allegiance. Our Pledge of Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing as we sing our national anthem. This year across our country, at more than 3,500 participating locations like this one, there are millions of Americans gathered safely as one nation to remember, to honor, and to teach. We are all proud to be Americans that live in a free society made up of many people from many walks of life. The freedoms we enjoy today have not come without a price. Lying here before us in cemeteries throughout this nation are men and women who gave their lives so that we may be able to live in freedom and without fear. We can worship as we see fit. We can raise our children to believe as we do. We are free to vote for leaders of our choosing. And we have the right to succeed, and we have the right to fail at whatever endeavor we wish to pursue. The United States of America is founded on the ideals of freedom, justice, equality, and religion. Our nation stands as a shining beacon of liberty and freedom to the whole world. We thank those who gave their lives to keep us free, and we shall not forget you. We shall remember. Today, more than ever, we reflect on our nation's veterans and active duty service members who have had and continue to fight to protect the innocent and oppressed. This nation has always been the first to stand up for the freedom of people from around the world. Many of you here today have answered that call and have served your country well. Therefore, let's take a moment and have all our veterans and active duty service members please stand. Let us give them a round of applause. We say thank you, and we are honored to know you. You may be seated. There are many men and women serving today in all branches of the military, here at home and in places far away that most of us have never even heard of. These men and women are part of the best trained, best equipped force in the world. We honor them and their families for the sacrifices that they make each day to keep our country safe from terrorism, hatred, and injustice. Quoting our 40th United States President Ronald Reagan, we hear, "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction." We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men and women were free. Let us join together in singing verse 1 of America the Beautiful. We will now have the presentation of the military branch wreaths. United States Air Force. Army Specialist First Class Retired David Beckley now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Air Force. United States Army. Army First Lieutenant, honorably discharged Richard Schenk, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Army. United States Coast Guard. Army Spec 5 honorably discharged Ronald Swartzlander now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Coast Guard. United States Marine Corps Sergeant, honorably discharged Robert Bastion, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Marine Corps. United States Merchant Marines, Army Sergeant, honorably discharged Larry Snook, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Merchant Marines. United States Navy EM-1 Submarine Service, John Ryan, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Navy. United States National Guard. Air Force Sergeant, honorably discharged Robert Rocky, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States National Guard. United States Space Force. Army Spec E-4 Larry Furman now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in memory of those who served and are serving in the United States Space Force. United States prisoners of war or missing in action. Air Force Staff Sergeant, honorably discharged Robert Hoffman, now presents the laying of a veteran's wreath in honor of the 93,129 United States servicemen and women from all branches of the service whose last known status was either prisoners of war or missing in action. These individuals have never returned to their families and homes. We shall not forget you. Now please join us in singing all three verses of My Country, 'Tis of Thee. We have selected 4 veterans to profile today. Corporal T5 Keith E. Berger, United States Army, World War II, born September 10th, 1922. Keith, at the young age of 19, was married and had an infant daughter when Uncle Sam decided to draft him. He and several men from the Mifflinburg area met at the Mifflinburg train station and left together, ironically, the day after Christmas, December 26, 1942. Basic training was in New England. Several times, Keith received 3-day passes and broke all the rules by riding trains all the way back to Vicksburg and then back. He got off and on the train right back of the family farm, just west of Vicksburg. He was always afraid he might get called by the MPs at the New York Central Station, but luckily that never happened. In 1944, Keith was accepted into the Army Air Corps Cadet Training Program at Emporia State College in Kansas. He was appointed a corporal in the 84th Army Air Force College Training Detachment. Unfortunately, his entire class was eliminated and he was returned to his infantry unit. As World War II went on, he crossed back and forth across the United States at least 5 times to be shipped out to either the European, Asian, or Pacific theaters. Keith received several decorations and citations for his service. When asked about Keith, his wife would say he is serving our country for the cause of freedom for all. He was honorably discharged in 1946. Keith became a successful building contractor and developer here in Lewisburg. As an active member of Dreisbach Church, he stepped in to be the general contractor when the church was rebuilt in 1964. Keith passed away at the age of 71 on September 24th, 1993. He was buried in Dreisbach Cemetery with full military honors. Private First Class Walter E. Berger, United States Army, born October 25th, 1946. Walt graduated from Lewisburg High School with the class of 1964 and then went on to receive a bachelor's degree in architectural engineering from Kansas State University. Of course, the draft caught up with him like many young men during the Vietnam conflict. He enlisted in the Army and was promptly shipped over to Germany, where he was stationed from 1970 to 1972. Walt was honorably discharged after serving 2 years in the United States Army. Walt became an architect and later designed the gazebo located on the south side of this church property. Sadly, Walt passed away following a heart attack on June 14th, 1989, at the age of 42 in Kansas. His father, Keith Berger, said his son was especially fond of trees, so 2 trees were planted in his memory near the gazebo. Walt was buried in Dreisbach Cemetery with full military honors. Sergeant John W. Booth, United States Air Force, Vietnam, born March 7th, 1948. John graduated from Lewisburg High School with a class of 1968. He couldn't wait to enlist in the Air Force, which he did right out of high school. His military career took him to Korea, where he worked as a surveyor during the Vietnam conflict. He loved to shop for Korean dolls and kimonos to send home for his sisters and aunts. John was also stationed stateside in Duluth, Minnesota, and later in Little Rock, Arkansas. He was honorably discharged after proudly serving for 10 years in the United States Air Force. John founded and served as director of the Sunbury Drop-In Center at St. Matthew's Episcopal Church, a center dedicated to supporting people in the mental health care system. John passed away suddenly on August 2nd, the year 2003, at the age of 55. He also was buried in Dreisbach Cemetery with full military honors. Robert E. Knight, United States Army, Korean War, born March 8th, 1928. Bob graduated from Mantandan High School with the class of 1946. We were not able to find much information out about his military career. We know that Bob enlisted with the Army in 1947 during the Korean conflict. He was stationed in the United States for his entire enlistment from 1947 to 1955. He was honorably discharged after proudly serving in the United States Army. Bob was an active and faithful member here at Dreisbach Church. He taught Sunday school for 57 years. He enjoyed singing and sang at over 36 weddings. He played softball and enjoyed all kinds of sports. Bob passed away on November 8th, the year 2017, at the age of 89. He also was buried here in Dreisbach Cemetery with full military honors. Let us pray. Almighty God, creator of the heavens and the earth and all that lie therein, you have brought us at this hour to remember, to honor, to teach, to pay our respects for all those who've served our country. We give you thanks that as you make your presence known to us at this hour, that their lives of service and those who continue to serve, we will honor with our thanksgiving our gratitude. We will forever remember the ways in which we can say thank you for your service. We will remember the sacrifices that have been made. We will honor a sense of duty. And we will continue to teach our children and the generations that follow of the many ways in which our men and women have served this nation. And we will remember the gift of faith to honor you, for you are the Lord of Lords, the King of Kings. You are the God of all nations. We thank you for this opportunity to gather together, to give our thanksgiving, and to remember, to honor, and to teach. And we now ask all who are gathered here to please join with me in a moment of silence to remember the fallen, the prisoners of war, those missing in action, and honor those who have served and are serving this great nation's armed services. And now, we encourage every volunteer today who places a wreath on a veteran's grave to say that veteran's name aloud and take a moment to thank them for their service to our country. It's a small act that goes a long way toward keeping the memory of all our veterans alive. Remember, we are not here to decorate graves. We are here to remember not their deaths, but their lives and their service. Each wreath is a gift of appreciation from a grateful America. These live evergreen wreaths symbolize our honor to those who have served and are serving in the armed services of our great nation, and also to their families who endure sacrifices every day for our behalf. To our children, we want you to understand that the freedoms you enjoy today have not just been given as free, but have come with a cost that someday you may have to pay yourself. As a nation standing together, we can defeat terrorism, hatred, and injustice. Therefore, thanks to our veterans, we have the freedom to do just that. We want to thank everyone that sponsored wreaths and those that will be laying the wreaths. And thank you all for attending this morning. We now ask that you would please remain in your seats for the playing of taps and the retiring of the collars. years.